Whoa there, Space Cowboy. Brokeback Bebop is a podcast with explicit content intended only for mature bounty hunters. Listener discretion is advised. Listen to all 40 steamy sessions of the show right now by supporting Brokeback Bebop at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay.
3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Decided to go for a clean one.
Can't be jelly cause it must be jam cause jelly don't shake.
Hi everybody, and welcome everyone out there in the cosmos to a very important, maybe the most important episode of Brokeback Bebop, because it's not our final episode here, but we are recapping the final episode of Cowboy Bebop, you know, until last year or the year before when the new series came out, and now there's more episodes of a different Cowboy Bebop. But for a very, very long time, I guess there's also the movie too, but for a very, very long time, and even with the movie, this is the ending of this series, so it's important, and I'm excited to be here to talk about it. Hi everybody, Steven, how you doing?
I'm so excited to talk about this, Zach. I've been like itching since last week to talk about this episode.
I've seen it too. I've seen your skin just crawling.
Yeah, it's like I'm buzzing.
He's got like unfortunate drug abuse scabs just all over his face, and it's just because he's really excited to talk about Cowboy Bebop.
I've been scratching for days.
Well, how are you this week? Anything you want to touch base on before we dive into the finale? Anything exciting going on for you?
It's been a busy week work-wise, but a fun week. Today's my sister's birthday. She doesn't listen to this. She's like 15
and we've
today,
pointed it out a bunch of times.
Yeah. Well, for a while she was listening to the regular show, and I'm like, that's not good.
Well, Steven didn't say that. He wouldn't say this to his sister, but I've said many times, now look. Mm-hmm. It's time for you to start carrying some weight around here. Mm-hmm. Papa can't keep giving it out for free. Yeah. And she was really uncomfortable, a lot of crying.
The authorities were called.
Yeah. I did have to end up paying for new locks for your family's home. It was a real bad situation, but I got that $5.
But happy birthday!
So happy birthday!
Yeah, I'm excited, Zach, for today. I am just
your
like
sister's
frothing.
birthday.
Yeah, so frothing at the mouth to talk about her birthday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, let's talk about it. We're here to talk about episode 26, session 26, the final session of Cowboy Bebop as it originally stood, The Real Folk Blues Part 2. This episode was kind of the three-person dream team that we got in a lot of the key episodes of this show. It was storyboarded by Shinichiro Watanabe, it was directed by Yoshiyuki Takei, and it was written by Keiko Nobumoto. And the episode originally aired in Japan on April 24th, 1999, and it originally aired in the U.S. on November 26, 2001. Anything you want to say about it before we get into trivia?
I'm so curious as to, like, I saw Cowboy Bebop on Adult Swim when I was a kid and didn't really comprehend what was going on. Mm-hmm. When it originally aired, like, I understand that Adult Swim was, like, a whole different animal back then. But even when I watched the show, you know, during the pandemic, like, for real watched it, I had to space it out a little bit. Like, I couldn't just watch, like, 6 episodes in a night. That seems like so much. And these dates
I don't know,
are
yes
also
and
close
no.
together.
I could see you binging it pretty fast.
I do, but not the first time.
But as far as a traditional airing on television, it seems like they aired it really fast. We'll have to do that before we end this series of podcasts. Yeah. We'll have to, like, literally take a look at the release dates in order in Japan versus the U.S. Mm-hmm. That might be interesting to, like, 2 people, but it'll be interesting to me.
I know.
Tell me, before we get into some trivia, if you can remember, if you can put yourself in your shoes the first time you watched and finished Cowboy Bebop. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it was during the quarantine.
That's right. I forget that you were kind of a latecomer.
Yeah, I liked anime a lot growing up, but then kind of got away from it from a lot of different anime for a while. But then during quarantine, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what makes me happy, and I really like watching anime, so I'm just going to spend all my extra time watching
Just
anime, which at the
yanking it
time
and watching
was
cartoons.
all my time. So when I wasn't
true.
like...
It's almost hard to remember that time anymore
Yeah.
because there was a moment, and this is coming from a very privileged perspective, and I'm very aware of that. For a moment in time, there was like 2 weeks probably tops where I didn't have to do anything. And I was buying shit on Amazon all the time,
Yeah.
and I was watching TV for 2 weeks, and it was really fun and restorative.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of preaching to people when people were freaking out, and rightfully so, freaking out about not getting sick. But like, if you're able to stay home and not go out, and not have to worry too much about getting sick, it's okay to be scared and like cautious of current events and stuff. But take it as a restorative. Like, when are you gonna get 2 weeks off of work for no reason?
Yeah.
Paid in a lot of cases, perhaps. Sorry to go on a little.
No,
but
I mean, for me, I was
that put
in
me back in
lockdown
that
for 3
time.
months.
It was a good time. Yeah, that's true.
So,
well,
like,
I mean, your line of work is so physical,
Yeah.
so hand on hand,
and that was a
so
lot shorter
sexual.
than some people, So like,
Yeah.
I couldn't plow for a few months. I was at home, just only able to service myself, not my community. So, but I definitely like Cowboy Bebop for me was late night, get as high as I possibly can, and watch this show.
Well, right.
Show.
You
And
got
from
it.
the first episode, I was hooked. Like, I was like, wow, jazz, space, martial arts, like, I'm here for it, And I just fell in love with it instantly. And by the time I got to the finale, I did watch part 1 and 2 of the finale in the same night, but I had intentionally saved it. I like got to the episodes before, like, okay, this is about to be the ending of the show. I'm going to watch the next 2 tomorrow night. And I watched the first part, and I took about half an hour, and I was like, okay, have a snack, get a little higher if I can, and then start this final episode, not knowing anything going in. Like, I had somehow not been spoiled of this show at all, hadn't tried to be. I was still early enough into anime Twitter and things like that I wasn't really, like...
Too spoiled on it.
Exactly. So I watched the episode. I remember just being blown away with everything. 'Cause I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't expect what was going to happen even, really. Because
That surprises me just a little bit. What did you expect to happen?
I don't know. I didn't have any expectations. I was just along for the ride. So I love an anime with stakes. But to this point, there have not been any major stakes for the main characters in terms of their lives. Spike's been shot, Jet's been shot, Faye's been kidnapped. All of them made it out okay.
I agree
every
with all
time.
that. But
And
I don't know, just when
normally
you've
a
watched a
show-
lot of television and you
Sure.
get to the final episode of a show, that's when all bets are off and your Walter Whites can die.
Sure.
Because there's not another episode.
But in anime, normally it's kind of like a Shakespeare thing. It's either a comedy or a tragedy, right? And in anime, normally that tone is set pretty early on. Most anime, especially anime that are shorter,
That's
if
a
they're
fair
going to
point.
kill everybody,
Cowboy
they
Bebop
start
was
killing
back and
people.
forth.
Yeah.
I mean, I think from the early Spike flashback episodes, you can see those stakes. You can see that tragedy side of it, even though people don't die. I feel like you can see the beginnings of when these two characters show down. It's not going to be a draw or something
No,
by the
like
end
they're
of
going to
it.
go until somebody.
But
has
when
no
you watch the
understanding.
first 2-3 episodes,
Yeah.
it's heavy on the comedy, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, I'm like, okay, there's a big fight happening. There's a lot of, as you watch the episode, you start to kind of a little bit more.
But you thought it was possible that it ends with a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least with an ending where everyone makes it out, not necessarily unscathed, but where we
Alive.
get to have at least the crew that we have is still together.
Now, I would argue I don't think the show necessarily has an unhappy ending.
No.
I think the tone of the credits song very much shows that they're not going for just a dark and bleary ending,
Yeah.
even though you could see it as that way if you want to. But I think there's a lot of hope and release and letting go. There's a lot and freedom in the ending.
Yeah.
I
Well, and
don't
I
think
think
it's a purely unhappy ending.
We'll talk more about it when we get,
Yeah, we should.
after trivia.
Do you
but
want to
there's-
just get into our segments? Do you want finish your thought and we'll get
but
into our
but
segments?
I want to talk a lot about the story that Spike tells Jet. So
Oh,
I think
of
that's
course.
really beautiful and powerful, and like I really like
That's
that.
a true moment of Spike saying, I keep coming back to life because I had something to like wait for or to look for. That's gone, so all bets are off. I'm probably gonna go die. And Jet's like, I get that. And then they kind of laugh at it. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a great moment. That especially I got what he was saying the first time I watched it. Yeah. But especially the second time, I got more the subtext of what Jet's hearing out of what he I don't know. I thought that was a great moment too.
Totally.
Let's do some trivia. I only wrote down one question. I was watching the episode.
I know. I fought to get 3.
Wow. Okay, so go ahead.
What's about to happen to Spike's star?
Well, when someone dies, their star falls.
Yeah.
Is that all you're looking for?
Mm-hmm. That's all I'm looking for.
Go ahead and give me another one. I only have one.
What's Jet's Native American name?
You know, when they said it, I had a feeling that you would write it down or that I should write it down, and now I'm far enough removed from it that I don't remember. Is it Big Dog?
Ooh, I wish. It was Running Rock, I believe.
Okay. I'll give you my one. How does Faye describe Julia? As much of the detail as you can give me.
Ordinary. The type of beautiful ordinary that you just can't leave alone.
You left the word out there.
Oh, God.
But that's
Damn
okay.
it!
Keep going.
She's like an angel from the underworld or a demon from paradise.
Really close. You left out that she's dangerous, beautiful, ordinary, that you can't leave alone, and an angel from the underworld or a devil from paradise. But that was pretty great memorization.
Thanks. I love that. I think that's
I would
such
give
a
you
good
full
description.
credit on that, even though it wasn't verbatim.
Thank you. That was pretty close.
Do you have one more?
I think that's such a cool description of her. What does Spike say is the best spice?
Time?
Hunger.
That's the joke that they... Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought time.
Okay, I feel like that's in the same vein of I'm going to have sleep for dinner tonight.
Or even like a little bit of everything everywhere all at once in there.
Ooh, I like
the
that.
Everything
Speaking of
bagel.
Binging with Babbis just made...
That's exactly what I was thinking of when I said...
sent it to you.
That's what... No, I've seen it. That's why I said time, because I was thinking of that, because he puts time itself as one of the ingredients. That was a great video.
That was fantastic.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you haven't seen it...
Watch it.
And if you like anime and Cowboy Bebop, I think there's plenty to eat on in that movie. And it's an American film that I think has more respect for the type of thing it's aping from than a movie like Bullet Train, like I talked about last week.
Yeah, everyone should watch that.
Did you finish your questions? Do you have
I
one
did.
More? Okay.
That brings us to, for the final time on the animated series, Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
We're going to discover, everyone, in a meaty, thick, feltering episode, we're going to find out if Zach comprehended the episode this week.
Yes.
Zach, how are you feeling?
I think this episode pretty distinctly has 3 acts. And if I can touch on all 3, I think I'll be doing okay.
Well, you've touched on all 3 of mine so far, Zach, so that can only
I've done
bode
all
well
kinds
for you.
of touching acts on Steven.
All right, the stopwatch is set to 0. I'm going to hit start. Let Zach begin. Then I'm going to hit stop when that stopwatch gets to 20 seconds. You all at home know how it goes.
See how much I can get. All right, they know.
Okay, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
It's the final showdown between Spike and Julia, but Julia can't kill him. They decide to run off together, but Spike has to stick around and finish business, and Julia agrees to help him. They get surrounded and ambushed by the Syndicate, and Julia is killed, crushing Spike. Spike goes back to the Bebop to say his final goodbyes to Jet, who he tells a great story and kind of explains that they died. Damn, I did not get all 3.
Oh, you spent so much time on the first part.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
But what could I have not said? You know,
if I were in your shoes, I would have been
yeah,
like,
sure, please.
Spike
Please
meets
put my
Julia.
shoes
She's
on.
beautiful, but she's dying. Now she's dead. And
Yeah,
then
that's
go
great.
from there,
That's
great. I've done it a couple more times than you, Zach. It's okay. This is only your 27th foray.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I've done it well over 100 times.
No, that's
know if
not
that's
true.
true.
I don't think you started until season 2. And there's only 110 episodes of the program.
Ooh.
Is that true? Did you start in season 2?
I did start in season 2. It was a season 2 thing. Zach,
I get it. I think I said good. I don't
what
think
you
I
said was
wasted
good,
any
but you
time. I
needed
filled
10
the
more
time.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't we all? Don't we always?
Don't we all? I'm feeling generous because I like the episode. I'm gonna
But
give
you
you
can
a C
grade me
minus.
harsh. Well, that's fine. I didn't get the ending at all.
No.
It's exactly what I said. There's 3 distinct acts, and if I can touch on all 3, I'd be doing good. And I only really, really fucked one of them and touched the other one a little bit, and
The
then
other one was
rolled
just
over
foreplay.
tired. and
Everything
fell
was
asleep.
over the jeans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we already were talking about the episode, but
Yeah, let's
now
get back
it's time to
into it.
talk more about it.
Let's talk about thoughts on the episode, and then let's kind of touch on the 3 acts of the episode.
Yeah.
I want to start just because
Yeah,
you
go
got
for
some
it.
of your thoughts out, and then I want you to tell me more about what you thought about the episode on this rewatch. It really does me a disservice that, unlike Steven, I did know a couple of things going into the end of the episode. I knew that Spike was going to die, and I knew that the handgun thing, the bang, I knew that was a thing. And I also had it really hyped up as not only is this one of the best anime finales of all time, this might be one of the best finales of all time. And I'm not going to argue that, but I will say that I think having all of that knowledge before watching the episode did me a disservice.
Absolutely.
Because there weren't a ton of surprises for me, unlike Steven, who had no expectations and did get surprised. I had too many expectations, and I didn't get surprised in the way I'd like. I'm both disappointed in one thing specific and also completely understand, because it's Cowboy Bebop, how little we get on what's going to happen with Jet and Faye. I really love the moment when Spike goes back to the Bebop, and I really like both moments that he has with those 2 characters, but I think that last act needed some flash of something other than Faye just crumbling and Jet like cleaning the windows. That disappointed me a little bit, although I understand that we're talking about Cowboy Bebop, and that's what they've always done with everything they've brought up, so why would this be any different? But I still think it's a fair disappointment to want to know more resolve for 2 of our 3 main characters.
Sure.
Now you say some stuff. What do you think watching it this time?
I love this episode so much. I love this show
I thought
so
it was
much.
great. I just had to get my gripes out. That was all.
No,
the
and I
negativity
understand
out of the way.
both of those, and I think that's kind of the point.
Of course.
That as much as this was a show about the Bebop, we were following their individual stories, but we were following Spike's story, probably the most.
Yes.
As much as they were a team and they are a unit.
He's the character story that we get a beginning, middle, and end throughout the run of the show. Everyone else, we're kind of in the middle.
And I don't think I would want to see a show without Spike and Ed. Like I said, I would love a one-off, like a 30-minute episode of Ed and Ein together, but I don't
need anything that takes place after this. I just needed one little flash of something that shows Faye. I didn't need to see like all the answers for Faye's past. We got enough of that, but I needed like a moment of Faye's gonna be all right.
Yeah, maybe even her just walking in and starting to eat with Jet, kind of like how they ate the eggs together after.
Or even just like Ed had. That almost makes me think, was it worth bringing Faye back for these last 2 episodes? Should she have left in that episode that Ed and Ein also left? I almost think that would have been a more satisfying conclusion for her character's arc than kind of bringing her back to still kind of haunt the hallways and not really have an ending.
I like it, but I also think that it just fits the nature of the show of not knowing what's next. And for the universe being so big that they could do anything, they're going to recover from this, but they're both hurt. And they're both hurt in different ways.
They're beautiful and they're dying.
They're beautiful and they're dying. But they're not going to. She's going to get better.
Yeah,
she has to
get better. Yeah.
I think that, the beginning of the episode, the whole Julia thing is honestly, we were going to talk about the 3 different sections. The Julia section is my least favorite.
Really? Why?
Of the 3. I like Julia as a character. I think that she plays an important role. It kind of sucks that as soon as we get her back, she dies, but that also fits with...
It's a lot of build up for what's going to happen here. I think the way that they pick up from the cliffhanger of the previous episode, I think that's satisfying.
Yeah.
I didn't think Julia was going to shoot him.
No.
Or I guess maybe I thought there was a chance, but I didn't really think Julia was going to shoot him. I thought they did that satisfyingly. And they did a good job of, in their little moments of small moments of embrace that they get, there's a lot of foreshadowing of a storm coming. I kind of liked it. I didn't mind. But you're right that I don't think we get enough of Julia as a character to care about her at all, let alone see the obsession that Spike has with her.
I do think, though, I could talk a lot about some of the beautiful shots and imagery in this episode, but when Julia gets shot and the contrast of the white doves flying versus Vicious's crows, that was pretty great.
Sure.
The moment that you see in Spike's face, he's like, what the fuck have I been doing? Because she's literally dying in front of me. Like, what the hell?
And also probably a moment for him of like, oh, I can just die like that.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to get shot and killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he has to see someone die in front of him in a different way than what he's kind of seen in the past. Someone that in his eyes was like this unattainable person. Like you see them as invincible, as like otherworldly, and she's dead. Just like that.
And I guess I say it's my least favorite of the three just because I like the other two acts so much. I think
agree with that.
Him going back to the Bebop is done near flawlessly. I think that his interactions with Jet are so good, you know, still complaining about the food.
That's probably my favorite section of the episode in some ways.
Yeah, I think it's so good. He and Jet have such a awesome relationship, and the story that he tells Jet about the cat who's lived so many lives, has died so many times and keeps coming back, has had so many owners, but then as soon as he's free from that, he meets this white cat that he wants to spend his days with, and talking about the amount of pain and sadness that the cat goes through after the white cat dies. But because he knew her and had somebody waiting for him in the afterlife, the cat was okay with dying. Whether it's that way or that he just was content now because he finally found purpose in him living all those lives. I think that was so beautiful and really paints such a real picture of what Spike has been searching for all this time. Getting that closure with Julia, not even getting to have a conversation with closure, but getting to say, okay, she's not out there anymore in danger. She's not out there running or chasing or whatever she's been doing. Now I can finish the job that I set out to do.
That story and that scene is really important for the climax of the episode to have the emotional brevity that it does, instead of it just being the big bad fight and oh no, these characters die, because like I said, there's a lot more to it in Spike letting go in the end. I think that sets that up very well. Tell me your take on the Faye thing.
Happily.
On Faye just being angry and shooting in the
love the Faye thing.
Okay.
I think
I don't really have an opinion
it's the
one way or the
first
other, so I want you
time.
to tell me.
I mean, we've seen how much Faye cares. We've seen how much Spike and Jet care, but it's the first time that Faye lets Spike know how much she cares and how pissed she is that she found where she's from. She found her past, and she still came back because this was the sense of family that she had. And now, as soon as she's back, Ed is gone, Ein is gone, and Spike's leaving.
Yes.
And she feels stupid. She feels betrayed, and she's so sad because she knows. I mean, she's the only other person who's had to deal with Vicious before. She knows that
Spike's probably
not coming back.
Yeah.
You know, she understands that world
and she
enough.
knows that Spike knows that too.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't understand why, like, especially if Julia's dead, like, why are you doing this? And you hear the disdain in her voice when she's describing Julia to Jet. She's like, you know, she's
Great
just
voice
some basic
acting
bitch.
from all of the main cast in this episode.
Oh, yeah. How, like, cold and empty Spike is, but, like, you still feel
But
underneath.
then, like, the laugh that he shares with Jet has a lot of...
it's so tender.
Yeah.
I do love, and you brought up Funny Planet, where are the bullets going? Because, like, they're in a spaceship. Like, don't shoot holes in that. But, like,
Either don't shoot holes in it, or they're just going to ricochet and bounce all around the hallway.
Faye shooting the gun, like, just trying to do anything to get Spike to come back.
Like, I mean it. Like, for real.
But also, if she had just shot Spike in the back, Spike wouldn't have given a shit. He's like, I'm going to do this. I could die now. I could die in 2 hours. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a specific shot, and I think it might be when Real Folk Blues is playing, which I want to talk about that in a second too, because that's like flipping an anime trope in such a cool way. But she's like kind of like sunken against the wall, just like frozen. And I feel like that's a really good representation of just Faye in general. She has gone through several periods of her life where she's kind of frozen in time. And this is another one of those where she's just waiting for him to not come back.
Yeah.
And like you said, we don't really get the visual or the confirmation that time does continue to pass afterwards. which is kind of sad, but I think also really fitting with Faye, you know.
That she's always kind of searching for something that...
Yeah.
It has a lot more to do with how she feels about herself than the reality of her story. It's not like once you figure everything out, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You've got to be okay to figure everything out, and she's not okay. You're right. I would have even liked a moment of her and Jet coming together or something. I don't know. It's a sad ending, and I'm sure the more it sits with me, I'll like it better. But that was the bit of closure that I didn't feel like I get. Let's talk about the third act. Let's talk about Spike's death mission to take down Vicious.
So, I think the third act kind of starts after he leaves Faye and the Real Folk Blues starts playing.
I love that version of the song that plays
so
throughout
cool.
this final showdown. I love it.
Yeah. So in a lot of shonen anime, which is like your Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Black Clover, that sort of thing, where, you know, you have a protagonist and bad guys, that whole thing, very action oriented. There's a thing where in a big boss fight, the intro, usually whatever the first intro to the show was, the show that has multiple ones, or like a special song fit with like the main character starts playing in the background, and it's like really awesome. Like you get super hyped, the hero starts kicking ass, wins the fight. But this one, I think it's beautiful that instead they use a different version of the ending song. And sure, Spike's kicking ass, but it's not as like triumphant, heroic. It's more like, oh, he's like John Wicking the shit out, like the whole choreography of that scene, like how he's shooting people, how you feel the weight of the shots going at him. Oh, amazing.
But it's so different from the typical Spike dancing as he kicks ass to a song that fits perfectly to every little thing that's happening in the scene. This is different. It's a lot weightier, and it's a lot more dire.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so... It made me feel everything that I felt in my favorite moments of Die Hard or John Wick. I don't know, like it just felt so dangerous but cool.
Just a man who's truly free and who truly does not give a fuck.
Like he's like, I'm getting to Vicious.
Get hit
I
by
don't
a
give a
bullet.
shit.
He's trying to like save himself so he can get there, but if he gets shot, he kind of gets shot, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's blowing the shit out of this place and taking out all the guys shooting at him with one shot each. And then the fight with Vicious, the meeting with Vicious is great.
I love the shots of Vicious just waiting. Because Vicious can hear the fucking explosions. Like, he's like, all right, this motherfucker and I, we're doing this
He's
today.
been waiting for it. He knew it was coming. I like the flash of Spike and Vicious working together as the thing's about to happen. It's one of those moments that could be a little hammy, but it just perfectly reminds you the stakes here. It's not just him going versus the big bad. It's fighting his former partner of sorts.
And I think the way they use that scene to fill in the blanks, because some of those we've seen before. We saw the shot of them shooting back to back. We've seen a couple of the shots with Julia, but now we get everything in between. There was a specific shot of like a much younger Spike in like a t-shirt or some shit, like seeing Julia for the first time. And that was really cool. I think there were a couple shots of just Spike and Vicious together, and you can tell they were close. They trusted each other with their lives, and because of this woman that has drawn between them and the choices they've made, they've strayed so far from each other, but they've kind of circled back together again for this showdown. And I think that it's so beautifully done, and it paints such a clear picture. Like if you just watched this episode, you would know exactly what's going on, and you would know the weight behind it.
Sure, I agree.
So good. And the final fight choreography was great, and I think a good final fight is not 20 minutes long. Because these two guys are not going to have a drawn out, like they're not trying to preserve their lives. They're
not
just trying to kill
off
the other guy. Yeah.
Right away, Spike gets stabbed.
Yeah. I love the shot where Vicious draws his sword and like stops Spike's gun, and Spike just firing. Bang, 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 bang. And finally one kind of nicks his face. I love the still respect that they have for each other when they have each other's weapons and they throw them back to each other for that final strike that they have. I think that shows a lot of, not admiration, but they understand this is how it's going to be. You know, and I just think it's so well done.
They say, Vicious says, like, I'm the only one who can kill you and set you free or whatever. I'm sure he won't say it, but Vicious might feel the same way.
Well, and Spike says, he's like,
well.
I'm the same for you.
Yeah, they both know that if this is how either of us goes out, this is is a worthy adversary.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. This is one of those episodes that we could have talked a full hour about easily. What do you want to say about the ending, about Spike's death as he walks down the stairs, about the bang moment.
Love the bang moment. The first time I saw that, I cried. I think that it's somebody still keeping their like sarcastic wit about them. Like Spike was himself until the end, and I don't know. I love that moment so much.
What do you think?
Reason.
What is he doing there? He's saying like, "I'm gonna get you," kind of.
No, I think he's just saying like that's the last shot. Bang! Like I got him. Like that's it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. Because I knew the bang moment was coming, I thought it was that he pointed it at himself and then shoots himself in the head and collapses. So then when it happened differently, it was a little harder for me to realize why.
Yeah, I like it. The song that plays afterwards is called Blue. The whole
Which is
thing
like
is beautiful.
The name of one of the Cowboy Bebop soundtracks.
Yeah.
I've learned it's an album.
Which, all those are on Spotify now, so check them all out, because there's like a few of them. I have
And there's
one
a
of them
really
on vinyl.
cool new vinyl release. Did you see the vinyl release that's like a fuzzy Ein cover
that's
all
cool.
over it that has like Ein's collar?
I have like the
That looks really
regular
neat.
soundtrack on vinyl, so I should get that one, because that sounds great.
I think the song at the end does a great job of telling you what you're supposed to feel about Spike's death. There is a sense of release. There is a sense of letting go in a positive way.
Yeah.
That I think
there's
is
a lot of
always
air
interesting
in
when-
it, if that makes sense. Like if you've been holding your breath that whole last fight, you can kind of exhale.
Even though you're
and
dead, you
breathe.
can kind of breathe freely now. You can let it all go. It's all right. You don't have to worry
So
about
good.
anything anymore. And you don't have to always be constantly plagued with the past, the present, the future. It's just now. It's just all done.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. Who's your captain of the Bebop this week? Does it make sense to give it to anyone other than Spike?
I don't think so. I think
Right.
you got to
This
give it
is
to Spike.
Just like
Yeah.
the show started with Spike, we end with Spike, both being Spike to the very end, but also I think being a very changed Spike.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that he cares now about somebody that's not named Vicious or Julia.
Yes. A true hero's journey that follows someone who would say, I am not a hero.
Yeah.
I think it's a great journey. I think it was a great episode. I just wish there was more, honestly.
Yeah.
I wish there was more before this. Not more after this. I wish
Which is
the
why
show
I think
had more
going
than
back and
26
watching
episodes.
the movie after is such a good experience, because
Yes.
after this, you want to see them together again.
Right.
And the movie's going to let us do that.
I'm excited for that, and that's a
too.
great way to end this. Next time we'll be back to talk about the first half of Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
Woo!
Knocking at Heaven's Door.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
I'm really excited to watch it. I am really excited to get to see more of this crew. That'll be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see the, I'm sure, animation upgrades that come with film. So that'll be a lot of fun. Everyone, thanks for listening to us this week. We will be back to talk about the movie. It'll be a lot of fun. And give me your best Paul McCartney saying you're going to carry that weight.
Can I instead do
Sure.
Jennifer Hudson saying you're going to carry that weight in the movie Sing as
That's fine.
Grandma Sheep Lady?
Does she sing that in the movie?
Yeah, she. Have you seen
I've
Sing?
No, I haven't.
You rat bastard.
Should I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the second one was incredible too. Fucking
That's
Bono's
the one you're
in
gonna.
it.
That's the hill you're gonna die on.
That's the hill I'm gonna
Bono
die on.
being in it doesn't make me want to watch it
He
anymore.
plays a
or
fucking
less.
old lion with a dead wife. You gotta
Okay,
watch
so
it.
it's Barnyard. Pass.
Boy, you're gonna carry that weight, a long time.
Paul
That's my
McCartney is rolling in his grave right now. He's still alive, but he sleeps in it to get
He
prepared.
sleeps in one just in case. He's
Bye,
ready.
everybody.
Bye.
「流れて
Thanks for listening. Support this show and our podcast network at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast, where starting at $5 a month, you can get immediate access to all 40 outrageous sessions of Brokeback Bebop. See you next time, Space Cowboy.